So after a 2-week hiatus, the Weekly Roundup is back with some great figures, some controversial figures, and some very, very patriotic and heroic figures. So let's get right into it and check out what we had in store this week. Hey everyone, it's Tony here with Nerds Never Sleep, and it's time for the return of the Weekly Roundup. That's right, guys, this is the time of the week where I bring you in and show you all the statues, figures, and collectibles that I highlighted on the channel from the previous week using things like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks, and photo galleries on various platforms. Now, this week, I've got, well, one that's a few weeks old now because we're going back to 4th of July week. And yes, I know that was a little while ago, but hopefully everyone got all their celebrating and it was good. Mine was fantastic. And I had some great figures that I covered. Some got some good reach and some that surprised me did not. So I'm going to go right ahead. I'm going to get right into the goodies and show you all what we got. To start off with My Hero Monday coming back with a great one that I really like that doesn't get enough attention. The Brave Graph Deku. And now this is part of a series of 3 that came with, of course, the trio of the boys, Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto Todoroki, in their school uniforms during one of the anime episodes or the manga issues where the guys were actually driving in between school and another location. I won't spoil it in case you never saw it. And they're in their school uniforms, and it just so happens some criminals start going by. Well, what did the 3 boys do? They jump right into action. So you can see that in this figure, he does actually have one of his new gloves on. So it's really cool. It's a great trio of figures that actually, because of their bases, do fit together amazingly well. And it looks like one of them is front and center, and the other 2 are kind of jutting off to the sides. Really awesome set, and I highly recommend it to anybody. Deku in particular, I do really like because it gives a different look to the character. And if you know me, you know I love having all the different variations of these characters. Having him in his school uniform, with his scarf, his backpack on, and he's actually even in an action pose where he's kind of in a running motion, as well as having a face that looks absolutely fantastic. You can't go wrong with this one if you're looking for something to change up your kind of My Hero display, or even if you're just a fan of Deku. This is a great one to have in your collection, and you can get them pretty cheap. And speaking of pretty cheap, for Twin Tuesday, I went with something a little different, a little deformed, and a little freaking adorable with the super deformed Chubby Collection Rem from ReZero. Now, this is a figure of, they're almost priced like a blind box figure, but they obviously aren't. These are a super cute, super deformed series of figures that are just very simplistic base-wise. They have a little chubby bubble, so to speak, that they perch on, and most of the time they're on one foot. I don't know why, but it tends to be the trend with the Rems, the Roms, the Mikus, and the others that are in this set. I'm actually brain farting what they are, but they are a very super cute line, and they're very small, very easy to display, and they're very affordable. Now, this is the color variation version of Rem. And obviously you can see she's wearing a purple uniform and stuff like that. I don't typically buy the super chibi things, but this one was super freaking cute and the price was right. So I said, why not? I'm always down for kind of varying things up in my collection, and you can never get enough Rems. So if you're looking for something, A, small, it takes up little shelf space. B, super freaking cute. And see, something that kind of is a little bit different for your collection, I do highly recommend checking out these super cute Chubby Collection figures. These things are definitely a good recommendation for something to kind of fill those little spaces in your collection. Definitely recommend the Rems because, of course, Rem is best girl, and she just looks so damn adorable. Now, I didn't have a Waifu Wednesday for Waifu Wednesday because she got flagged a couple times for inappropriate content, and I just decided to say, screw it, we're not doing it. So, didn't have a Wednesday figure. But I did make up for it with one that I really love. Got kind of mixed reactions over here on the YouTube side and on the TikTok side due to flagging for inappropriate content. Of course, for Reincarnated on a Thursday, that time I got Reincarnated Slime, the Kijin princess herself, Shuna, looking absolutely adorable in almost like her battle uniform / schoolgirl uniform look. And this is the first color version. There's actually another color variation swap. They're not really that noticeable. It literally just adds some darkness or lightness to each one of the colors in the figure. So I don't recommend getting both versions unless you are a completionist nut that has to get everything. Either version is going to be fine. But this Shuna is absolutely adorable. I love, just like I say, with Deku and stuff like that, I love having these characters in a variety of different costumes and looks and outfits because it does vary up your display. This Shuna is absolutely fantastic, and she pairs up with the little Rimuru World Coliseum figures very, very nicely. He's the perfect size to just kind of put right there on her base, and they look great together. Her face, her pose, she has that little innocence to her. All of it just looks great. The way the hair flows and is actually sculpted really, really well. The uniform itself is great. It flows and it fits on her really good. And you know what? It just stands out as far as Shuna pieces goes because she's usually in something like a kimono or a very prim and proper, bright pink outfit. And this kind of black on black looks really, really good on her, especially with the bright pink hair. So if you can pick one up, they're usually on the cheap. I highly recommend getting either version of the Shuna figure. And now for Figure Friday. I was a little confused on this one, and maybe you all could help me out. Maybe it's the patriotic thing. Maybe it's because it's a U.S. holiday thing. I don't know. But for the 4th of July, for Independence Day, I did a duo of iconic American heroes with Captain America from the Kotobukiya line of Marvel Now 1/10 and the Rebirth Kotobukiya Superman 1/10 as well. Now, I thought having a powerhouse duo like this was going to be a very popular one, especially with the Superman movie just a few days away from when I posted this. But for some reason, none of the platforms I posted these boys on got any reach at all. And I thought that was really, really weird. So if this is your first time seeing this duo together, congratulations, because these are two very, very cool pieces. Also, very affordable pieces back when they came out. And I think still to this day, because these lines both kind of faded out and didn't really do much afterwards. Now, again, these are both Kotobukiya 1/10 scales. And Cap is from the Marvel Now line, which, again, we don't really want to talk about Marvel Now, but the designs are pretty cool. And this Superman is from the 1/10 Rebirth line, which, as I say in most of the videos, kind of started and then just ended with a couple of figures. We had Superman, we had Batman, we had the two sons, and then we had the two doggos. That's it. It never went anywhere after that. Probably because no one really bought them. Nobody really cared for Rebirth that much, and I can see why. But the Superman itself, other than some issues I have with the Rebirth costume, looks really, really amazing. I like it. I like how they made him very muscular. He looks very imposing. His cape flows really well, and he looks great with the companion pieces. Now, Cap is part of a set, which was actually all the Avengers from Marvel Now, the first launching. There was a second series as well that doesn't really fit with them as good just because they changed the way they did the bases. But these were cool because they had magnetized bases, and they were all the same base plate. So you could actually put them all on them however you wanted, or even stack up a couple of base plates together and have some figures elevated higher than others. It was a very, very cool idea, which kept the figure and the base separately, and you could even have two of the figures share one base to save on space. So if you're looking for budget-friendly Cap, budget-friendly Superman, I do highly recommend this very heroic duo of 1/10 pieces from Kotobukiya. And then I went from one unexpected flop to one I kind of figured was not going to do very well. Of course, because of the amount of skin showing for Sword Art Saturday, I went with a fan favorite on this channel, depending on what she's wearing. Of course, the girl, Asuna. Now, this Asuna is part of the Banpresto EXQ line, and it came as part of a trio, sold separately, of cheerleading girls, which consisted of Asuna, Sinon, and Silica. So it was a little bit of a surprising one. And you know what? They just look so freaking good that it's a shame to not show them and share them. But algorithm is going to algorithm, and I say this every time. YouTube tells me it's not true, but I have tons and tons of stuff to prove them wrong. So normally Asuna does very, very well on this channel. In her standard clothes, in every one of her variations, with her swords, everything, all the good stuff. But we put Asuna in a short skirt, exposed midriff, and some pom-poms. And she gets very significantly low views on the channel. So I could go on a rant like I do all the time about this, but it does suck. She is an absolutely beautiful figure. There is no adult themed content to this at all. She looks just like a school cheerleader. Nothing wrong with it. Yet over on the TikTok side of things, she got flagged for sexual content, sex, nudity, and adult content. 4 bangers. And of course, over here on YouTube, no offenses, so to speak, but she got very, very gimped reach compared to what a normal Asuna does here on the channel. So I do know there is some correlations, and I won't linger too long on it, guys, but it's just me ranting because it does suck. This is an absolutely adorable Asuna, and if you are a fan of the character, I do recommend it because, again, just like I say with the others here today, variations and different costumes and things like that kind of make your display stand out. And having a cool little cheerleader Asuna, as well as being flanked by the other two, is really, really cool. And it's something that you don't see all the time. So I love it. I think she looks great. And she's an older piece. I highly recommend it. You can get her on the cheap still. Of course, you're going to have to go, third party or the used market. But if you can get your hands on one or even all 3 of them, I definitely suggest it because she is an incredible piece. And that's going to be your look at all the figures that I highlighted 2 weeks ago now. So what I usually do here at the end is I give my favorites for the higher end stuff and the lower end stuff. Now this week, they were on the same day, but I did have 2 higher end pieces. I'm going to say middle ground pieces with the, of course, Superman and Captain America, the American boys here. Now, honestly, it's a tough one for me to pick a favorite, but I'm going to lean towards Cap because there's just a couple issues I have with the Rebirth costume itself. Not with the figure, but just the costume. So I got to go and give it to the Marvel Now Captain America by Kotobukiya. And as far as the lower end stuff, honestly, it's pretty tough. And I'm going to have to go with the dark horse of this one, with the cheerleader Asuna. Just because, honestly, I love the dynamic pose. I love the bright colors. And I really like how big she is, especially for the price point. That is always a big thing, especially with prize figures, where sometimes you'll get a figure that's this big for $25, $35. And sometimes you'll get a piece this size for $20. So when you get more bang for your buck on a prize figure, I always say it's a great value and it's a great deal. This Asuna is absolutely fantastic, and I cannot stress enough how much I recommend getting her, or to be honest, anybody here today. Because guys, you got to admit, none of these were bad pieces. But Asuna and Cap were my favorites of this week. Again, let me know who your favorites were down in the comments below. And now I'm going to try to just blow right through the boring stuff that most of you guys don't stick around for anyways. It's time for the page updates. So, as some of you who follow the channel might know, and I've gotten some digs in my live streams about why I've kind of taken a hiatus, but I have kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus from the figure and collectible side of things for the past week and a half, 2 weeks. Now, the reason for this was because it was suggested that I focus more on my gaming content, creating clips for my gaming content, things like that, and just seeing how that goes. Well, I did the experiment for the past 2 weeks, and you know what? It did pretty good. I'm having a blast doing my live streams, my gaming streams. We're doing Death Stranding 2 right now, which is amazing. And I'm breaking it up with some Dead or Alive volleyball, which are always hilarious streams. Now, I've also been doing and playing around with clips. My clips are not as high quality, obviously, as professional streamers because I'm using the PlayStation 5 streaming software, which natively is not made for editing. It just looks like crap. But I'm doing what I can with what I have until 3 weeks from now when I get all my new setup and hardware. So we'll start getting some newer stuff and some cooler stuff in the next few weeks. But other than that, not really much has been going on. I did do a vote for a new segment that I want to do called Prize Figure Face Off, where I'm going to take 2 prize figures, unbox them both, give reviews for each one, pick my favorite during that video, and ask you all in the audience which one you liked better. So it's a cool segment I'm kind of playing around with. I'm still trying to design a logo for it, but the first video will be dropping this week, towards the end of the week on the weekend. Other than that, we're going to be going back to business as usual, of course, with weekly roundups, with figures almost every day. We're going to go back to doing some unboxings, some reviews, and I actually am working on a commentary video about the state of pop culture, films, and shows in general, and who these are being made for. Because it sure as hell isn't the bands. So we're going to dive a little bit into that, hopefully get some good traction and get some good conversation out of people, but we'll see what happens. And other than that, live streams pretty much 3 to 4 days a week, trying to kind of keep a more consistent schedule, but that's going to be it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the return of the weekly roundup. Again, let me know who your favorite was down in the comments below. And if you guys are looking forward to the things that are more interactive, like the Prize Figure Face-Off series. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you've made it this long and you liked the video, do me a solid. Click the like button, the subscribe button, the share button. Spread the nerdiness. Follow on all the social medias. The links are down in the description below. And I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.